Round 6 of 60 plus racing adventures brings us to Virginia International Raceway. This special league, run for drivers 60 years of age or over, proves to us week in, week out that age is no barrier to enthusiasm and talent for sim racing, and also no barrier to creating some great racing and some fantastic championship battles as well. Coming up tonight is 2 races in the Indy Pro 2000 around VIR full course. I'm David Haynes. I'm joined by Paul Smith. And Paul, here's a little look at the track.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody. Yes, 3.2 miles long. It's the full layout, which is, well, it's not the full layout. It's the sort of more Grand Prix sort of style layout. I prefer this layout. This is my favourite one personally. 29 degrees, track temperature 20 degrees, air temperature partly cloudy here in Alton in the USA. And yeah, I'm looking forward to some great racing here today.
Yeah, it's called the full course. It is, of course, shorter than Grand East or Grand West, and it is what you would call a standard GP layout that gets used by most series that race here. And race here we shall this evening. Qualifying, I think, has just started wrapping up on this first race, but let's look at the season. Let's look at this championship and what it means to the more than 30 drivers that have turned out tonight. We started the season December 16th with live coverage of Long Beach. Hope you were there for that one. It was pretty interesting as that was a very new track, both to us and to the competitors. In the intervening time, they've been to New Hampshire, Suzuka, Barber, Zandvoort, and now RaceSpot coverage picks up again, round 6 here, VIR. January 20th, obviously, and then Sebring, Silverstone, Imola, Nordschleife, Spa, and Road Atlanta still to come, and we will be broadcasting that season finale March 3rd, so let's hope it's a close championship fight. Speaking of the championship fight, here it is. John Morgan leads with 170 points, just 5 clear of Donald Fitterer, and then quite close there between multiple-time champion of the past, Stefan Rostjan, and Paul Stump in 4th there with 157, and of course you can see championship stalwarts Russ Addy, Randy Shoemake, Mike McCormick, Bill Lawrence, Greg Garris, and Richard McClure there making up the rest of the top 10. Paul, getting points is interesting in this championship though, because consistency is somewhat key, but then we've got that interesting format with the drop race within the round.
Yeah, certainly we have those drop scores available to them, so that means that drivers can maybe afford not the best of rounds 1 or 2 times, but certainly use their best results possible. So yeah, it's a good format, keeps everybody in there, does get us scratching our heads a couple of times like we found out last season, David, but yeah, definitely it's a good way of keeping the action close and tight together.
Sure is. Something can go wrong in one of your 2 races, and it doesn't necessarily mean the end of the world. Good on that one guy, that one spectator there at the roller coaster. That's always an action point around the lap here. Big braking zone, track immediately plunges downhill, and it's quite blind on the way through. Well, we're getting ready for the first race of the evening. And I can now pull up all of my screens and you can see the grid starting to form up on the start-finish line behind the Porsche pace car. Going to have a full tour of the track, and that gives us plenty of time to talk about the qualifying grid, because on the front row is John Morgan with Bill Lawrence alongside, and then behind them comes Donald Fitterer and Richard McClure. And then it's Gary Bystrom. That's a pretty new name to me, from Club Georgia, but good qualifying in 5th, with Paul Stump for company in 6th. Next row is Bob Cohen and David Sistello. And yeah, top 10 is going to be rounded out by Kenneth Baldwin and Ragnar Wilsoff.
11th place then, Mike McCormick with Leroy Coppage 12. 13th for Stefan Rossjo, and of course one of the championship contenders there down in 13th, who won't be happy with that. Greg Gilman in 14th place. Greg Garris then ahead of Russ Addy, another one who's quite the challenger normally, but down there in 16th, so something not quite working out for these drivers here today. Dev Donnelly, Kenneth Dummer in 17th and 18th places, with Gerhardus Jorison and Ernie Cancier in 20th place.
Then this row 11, is going to be Bruce Poole and John Unsby, also another driver a little uncharacteristically down the field. Qualifying can be tricky here at VIR, and they don't get many laps. It's Barry Hills and Jack Turner for the row behind, and then as they start to roll away from the grid for the formation lap, it's Louis Cannell and Randy Shoemake. 25th, 26th, then Bob Kern, Doug Beasley, Joel Martin, Michael Bailey, the top 30. Still more to come.
Yeah, Ian Wilson and Jerry Kerr then 31st, 32nd, with John Arles and JC Hay in 34th. And then we should be towards the end of the grid here now, with Donald Poole and Franz Brink and Robert Ahl, all of those not scoring themselves a lap.
I stayed in one of those rooms that overlooks pit entry. Noisiest hotel room I've ever had. Still didn't ask for a refund.
Well, I mean, this is the round that you've been looking forward to, isn't it? This is the round where we really lean on your knowledge of the circuit, isn't it? With you having stayed here in the past.
Oh, didn't this happen one of the previous rounds? I swear it did.
Well, but anyway, one of the names that caught me out there, being further down the order, was what we see. Where were we now? It was down in the 20s. Randy Shoemake down in 26th. So that's quite a few drivers that we usually see up in that top sort of 10, 15 positions, really sort of struggling here today in qualifying.
Yeah, I called out a couple of other names that you normally expect to see in the top 10, and we very, very frequently see battling for, podiums and top 10s that were, behind 20th. Like John Unsby, for example, stands out like a little bit of a sore thumb back there. Bob Kern, maybe a little bit as well. But maybe it means there's an opportunity for some other drivers to work their way up, get a good result here, and shuffle up the championship. Things aren't going to stay the same forever in 60 plus racing adventures. New people turn 60 every day.
One thing that does stay forever, however, is the oak tree here on iRacing, because of course the oak tree was there when iRacing scanned the circuit, so it's there now, even though it's no longer there in real life.
Yeah, it's got a offspring that's on the outside of the track that they're gonna grow, but yep, one little bit of character there, regrettably lost. They're about 2/3 of the way through the formation lap now, and well, we don't often do a full formation lap. We certainly didn't at Long Beach, but here at VIR, that's what we're being treated to. So everyone in this field of 37 cars, it's time to think about what they're going to do on the race start here. Not the least of them, your pole sitter, John Morgan. Bill Lawrence very much alongside him in the 17 there. Hogpen, the final corner of the lap, probably difficult in an open wheeler. You can carry a bit of speed through there, and then you can carry probably a little bit more in these cars, but it is an intimidating corner. Here's pit entry for the safety car, and he waits as late as he can. Characteristic, and I think they roar into life. John Morgan doesn't want to wait. He's put the power down. Green flag waves at the starting stand. And from VIR in week 6 of 60 plus racing adventures, we are away, and they're all going to stream down towards the hairpin turn 1, which is a big braking zone. But John Morgan's gotten through there cleanly, and Donald Fitter has had a great jump off the start as well.
Certainly has. We've got a few cars further down having little incident. That's quite the normal spot to have an incident. One of them is Russ Addy, and Russ Addy, I think, is actually beached. Yes.
Yeah, he's trying to get drive. The
Joel
front.
Martin as well. Oh, Joel's now got himself stuck.
What is in the outfield of turn 1 here? 2 cars stuck, beached, unable to get themselves going. Let's take a look at the replay of how they ended up in that position. A lot of space here, backing it off a little bit down towards turn 1, and then...
So I think it might have already happened. Yeah, so they've already happened. Oh, that's what's happened to Joel. Yes, Russ Addy's got stuck there. He's got beach. Let's have a look at what happened to Russ then. So this is the one. He's trying to go down the middle. Thinks about it. Oh, that's a little... It's so easy that happens at turn number 1 here at this circuit, isn't it? It all funnels into that corner.
Does narrow up a little bit, gives people the glimpse of opportunism that they sometimes reach, and it's a bit of fool's gold. And then we did discover there's a couple bumps off the circuit there, capable of beaching these very, very low slung open wheelers. There's been no such troubles for John Morgan though, who leads. Donald Fitterer grabbed second place on that start, and he comes along too. But there's a battle brewing for third place here. How is that one going to be resolved? Looks like Bill Lawrence is going to go backwards another position on the race start here, as it's kind of a 4-car breakaway. Oh, problems there. A huge wiggle for Gary Bystrom, and somehow he manages to hold on to it. But is he going to hold on to third? He's going to try around the outside of the double left-handers here. He unfortunately has to yield that one back to Bill Lawrence, and that drops him away from the lead a little bit.
Yeah, already, look at the front two pulling away that gap at the front. So they're obviously feeling confident in Morgan and Fitterer. And Bill Lawrence, it's good to see Bill actually up in this position, because he's not really been challenging for podium positions the last few times that we've seen him out there. So good to see Bill there battling with Gary Bystrom in third and fourth place. And Paul Stump, always just loitering around, just waiting patiently for any opportunity at all in his lovely Leighton House livery.
There's a few great looking throwback liveries out there. We've got a couple of sort of Andretti Autosport style ones. Someone's got Alexander Rossi's IndyCar. And if you think the oak tree, by the way, dates this scan of VIR, you should see the VW Clean Diesel banner. I think that does that rams the point home far more clearly, as we do continue to ride on board with the aforementioned Leighton House livery. Second gear there through the roller coaster, and the track drops away 5-6 stories very, very rapidly. Good draft down the back straight, good draft down the pit straight, but Bruce Poole has, well, he's got his hands inside the vehicle, but he wants off the roller coaster.
Yeah, keep your hands inside the roller coaster at all times, but here we go, this is what's happened to Bruce. Is it just going to be a case of him out-braking himself? We'll find out. Such a long straight, such a high-speed section of track. Oh no, he was helped. That's the 61 who helped him, John Unsby. Oh, John.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a boop. Bruce Poole's being very cautious into the corner. The drivers behind less so. Bystrom's still up in 4th. This is Mike McCormick in 12th. Stefan Rostin in 11th has gained 2 places off the start. You remember he was outside of the top 10 on qualifying. Still is outside of the top 10 as they come through the climbing S's. Not a trouble in a car like this that has 200-ish and something horsepower, but very nice slick Cooper tyres and some wings on it.
Yeah, Leroy Coppage is possibly in the best spot here, getting a double draft from in front of him. Not the best exit out of the Oak Tree corner though, so he's not going to be up there with them in front, but he might be thinking about looking after his tyres and really looking after it into this race as we go further in, because 15 laps is quite long actually in these cars. The tyres, the rear tyres especially, do start feeling the punishment, especially with the acceleration zones that you have here.
Oh, that's wide from Rostin. He'd already lost the spot to McCormick there. Now that's hurt his run onto the pit straight again. He's aware of the draft he's giving, but he's not going to be able to stop the charge of Coppage. Round the outside, Nose in front for the hairpin. You can get around the outside here, especially because there's a bit of a bump on the inside just after the apex as well. So that's a good move from Coppage. You saw he, though, did have a little bit of a wiggle putting the power down. That might be that rear tyre wear you're talking about. If you do that every corner, every lap, eventually the temperature might get away from you a little bit on those tyres.
Yeah, certainly. If you're not careful with the tyres and you push a little bit, then you can actually end up pushing those rears a bit too hard, and you start losing that bite out of corners. And before you know it, you're a sitting duck on some of the corner exits. So like this corner here, you've got to get on the power nice and smoothly. That's not what happened to Donald Fitterer then. The reason why I came back to this battle is because they were actually getting a little bit closer, I noticed on the timing screen. And so it was just worth bringing back to the lead battle, but they're staying as they are at the moment.
Other brands of engine oil are available. Morgan and Fitterer getting away in the lead, as you mentioned, but we had a great look as they sort of rise up the hill on the back straight. Looking backwards from John Morgan, you could still see, you know, the top 10, top 12, top 15 all streaming down the straight in the line towards Roller Coaster. Paul Stump in 5th. Well, he set the fastest lap of the race last time around. What's it going to be this time as he comes to the timing stand, which has also moved since this was last scanned? He can't quite keep up with the pace John Morgan set at the lead. In fact, that one dropped off a little bit for Stump, so definitely some pace in there.
Well, when we jumped on board with Stump there, he was coming out of Hogpen, final corner, and he just didn't quite get the run. I mean, look at him, he's wide there compared to Gary and Bill in front. So he's not really being consistent. He's quick, and we know that he's quick as Paul Stump, but he's just not quite being consistent at the moment.
Could be distracted by the cars he's following. Bruce Poole is dropping back, and this replay is probably going to tell us why. He's in the toe down towards turn 1, gets all the way up into 6th gear there, as evidenced by the steering wheel, and then around the outside for turn 1.
He just got caught up into the back of that other car. I didn't quite see who it was actually he was battling with, but they both kept going. A little bit of damage, but not too much.
Did appear both of them were in a little bit hot on the brakes. Bruce Poole, as we mentioned, has continued, but I think he might be missing just a little bit of speed, because through the oak tree corner here, he's being set up. There's pressure on him. Outside wheel in the dirt probably doesn't help the drive so much. Louis Cannell shaping up behind him, I think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's Louis, and here we go. Look at the speed that slipstream gives you, plus that little bit of damage on the front wing for Bruce, not helping him out. Meanwhile, Bill Lawrence is out in the weeds here.
This is one of the drivers from the front row today. He fell back immediately off the start, a position or two, but this is far, far more severe. Oh, and he gets helped around again.
I think that was Whisloff, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Was it Kenneth Baldwin? I think it was.
So that might have been all by himself initially, just off wide into the green stuff at turn 1. Now, Kenneth Baldwin at speed looks one way, and then just gets distracted a little bit clumsy, and I've seen cars hit that wall before. That's right near the snack stand.
Trust you.
So if you're there with your hot dog, that's the corner you're watching. So if someone crashes there, you remember it. That's the train of thought here. Our timing will update in a second, because this is the battle for the lead. We've cut to it because it is as close as it's been almost all race. We're about to sort of be halfway through race 1 here when they get to the line and we click over onto lap 7. And, well, it breathed out a little bit, a couple tenths, but it seemed like right on the way into the roller coaster there, it was just a car length or so for the lead.
Let's have a look there. 3 tenths per second as our timing now updates ourselves. For anyone who's never seen an iRacing broadcast before, and wondering why we suddenly had Kenneth Baldwin to the top of your standings there, if you're out there and reached a certain point of the track and you, say, went off like Kenneth did, and you take the tour back to the pits, it brings you round that entire lap instantly. So therefore it moves you to the top of the standings. So that's why you saw, for a little short while, Kenneth Baldwin at the front of your standings. But timing sorted itself out now. We're back with this lead battle.
Yeah, it all shakes out in the wash eventually, doesn't it? And correctly shows that this is first and second. Track drops away on the exit of the corner there, and then you're coming uphill towards the oak tree. Double apex. Got to make sure you have the wide, smooth arc into the second apex. And then using first gear there, so the smooth hands would probably be very important to get a good run out of there. We're going to see how much the slipstream is worth at the end of this straight here. It's helped by the fact that it's uphill, and it's definitely the top of a hill because that's why they put a water tower there.
So it is 256 kilometers an hour. So picking up the speed under the slipstream. This battle giving us something, but we are into that second half of the race now, David, and this is where we'll get to see how these just Morgan, the back end just not cooperating there through Hogpen.
We've seen that from a few drivers. You're either right on the line and you get it right, or you overstep it a little bit. This is Fitterer rolling out of the throttle a little bit. He's happy to wait here, and why not? They are 4 seconds clear of the next car, and they've been braking away.
I think that's smart. I think that is smart from Donald, because you know if you start fighting tooth and nail with John Morgan, you'll lose a second, 2 seconds per lap here. If you do fight like everything depends on it. Oh, we've had an incident for David Tostella. He's off in the weeds now.
I was like, where's Wally for a second there? I was like, he's behind one of those trees. Which side of the track is he on? It was the far side. Let us take a look then in the first sector. Heading towards the hot dogs. NASCAR and left hook, he just pushes a little wide, gets the grass, and then loops it around. It's sensible to actually take it immediately back off track to try to get it facing the correct way, and then he picks it up and gets going. That shouldn't be too much harm done, but it did lose him a little bit of time with his 2-3 loops around in the grass.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you pointed out.
Oh, we nearly did it again.
Well, the thing is, because he's booted up the throttle and spun up the tyres to spin the car, he's put a lot of heat into those things, so that will be affecting his rear grip there. But no, you mentioned it, and you're quite right. Very sensible with his rejoin. He could have easily just spun it out on track and been in front of everyone, but decided, no, I'm going to get out the way, I'm going to take to the grass. So very, very sensible from David. And it goes to show the consideration that other drivers have in this series to their fellow competitors.
That looked like John Unsby going backwards as Dev Donnelly gets the position with a huge amount of overspeed, and they got a slight... Whoa! Oh, there's more damage now. I was about to say there's a bit of damage for Randy Shoemake. Now there's more, and probably some for Dev Donnelly. He was already missing the front wing. That really should have clued you up. He was going to be a little slow, but maybe you can't tell that from behind.
Well, we'll have a look at this then. So Randy Shoemake, yeah, quite rightly, he's without the front wing, so he's going to have to be... So that's happened somewhere else in the lap. He's going to have to be a lot slower into... Oh, that's a terrible camera view. There we go. And, well... if you're catching up suddenly that much, it can catch you out if you don't know that car in front has got damage. There was other cars went off in sympathy as well. But yeah, so Shoemake has come back out and he's got a front wing again.
Fantastic work by his pit crew there then. Let's look for more battles here in race 1, and Rob Kern, Johannes Jorrison shaping up as one. Very tight, precise lines from Jorrison coming up the S's. Bob Kern a little more all over the place, might suggest he's feeling the pressure for the moment. But then that's a tighter line through the oak tree there that I don't personally fancy.
It's nice to actually be with Jihadis Yorison in this race, showing him on screen. It's not that often that we get to show his exploits in this racing, so good to see him and to see him out there battling away with Bob Kern. Yeah, Bob, you were quite right, through the S's was very wild on the exit of them, wasn't he? Back end really stepping out there. That would be a heart and mouth moment for myself, being a front wheel drive peddler myself, so I'm not used to cars behaving like that. But yeah, good to see Yorison so well in 13th at the moment.
And he set up a great exit off the hog pen. You saw car in front, Bob Kern, go a little wide. Jorison had a good run, then used the slipstream, and now that is a position gain. He was patient with it, and then he was just quick where he needed to be. In that one sector, he needed to get a run off the corner to have the overspeed to make a pass into turn one, and he did it just clinically.
Certainly did do it clinically. Well done to him, Stefan Christian. Well, he's found himself in 9th place, but he's got all sorts of pressure from David Sestella and Leroy Coppage behind. So still over the curb there for Stefan. You can hear the engine note rise suddenly. But yeah, Stefan finding himself in 9th, and that's not the best exit out of Oak Tree. Neither for David Sestella as well.
It's free real estate for Leroy Coppage as Sestella and Roaston both make a bit of a dog's breakfast of the Oak Tree. Looks like Roaston's going to try to pick the pace back up, but might have just lost this one, and he sort of concedes that one. And it's sort of a bit of a 2-for-1 for Coppage there.
Yeah, great stuff from Leroy to pick up both positions, and we'll have a look at that then for Leroy when I actually select Leroy's car. So you can see the two in front, and you're going to. I mean, Stefan had a big moment at the left-hander there, and Leroy's just sat back here being patient. Nice line, and then both cars, and he had to get out the throttle there actually. So that's why it looked like it was a little bit of an effort for him to make it past Stefan Rostian.
Had a short shift into third as well, but in the end, all's well that ends well. So he grabs a couple positions. Meanwhile, Gary Bystrom just set the fastest lap of the race in the toe of Donald Stump, so I'm not sure that the podium is settled either. That is going to look just a little wide, is it? Nope. Okay. For Bystrom, he's in the hunt of the Stump. And a 142.6 last lap was a 10th faster than the best lap by John Morgan. So enough to keep chipping away at Paul Stump, and enough that, as it stands at the moment, he has the fastest lap of the race.
You imagine it's going to stay that way as well as this race goes on. Because, I mean, John Morgan's out there at the front on his own, but he's dragging Donald Fisser along with him as well. So, Sestella and Rostian now have switched positions. This battle here, it's gone up to about 7/10 of a second. Bystrom, not the greatest run out that final corner. Once again, we've seen quite a few drivers, haven't we, David, struggling out that final corner.
Yeah, I mean, the track drops away right in the middle of the corner and then starts to grip up on the exit. You've got to have, you know, a little bit of throttle, but not full throttle in the car, because if you're off throttle, it'll over-rotate on the apex. If you've got a lot of throttle in, it'll push wide. You've got to take the right line with enough throttle to keep the car balanced, and that is well off into the tobacco fields of Southern Virginia. For this driver, which one was that? Leroy Coppage, that's right. So he got given 2 positions for free, and now in the hog pen, as we were talking about, wrong line, a little wide, tail gets twitchy, and then just clear straight lines it out into the grass.
I think the car wasn't cooperating with him, and he just wasn't confident that it was going to grip up or spin, so he thought, the lesser of 2 evils, let's just take that wider line and live to fight another day. But at the front, we're getting towards the end of the race now, and Donald Fisser is starting to make some moves.
And it's a big move to the roller coaster. They see that one coming to John Morgan, and Fitterer very handily gets the lead, but there is still time and still laps for John Morgan to contest this one, try to take it back. Last lap, Don Fitterer's gone and grabbed the fastest lap of the race. Can John Morgan pick it back with a slipstream here? Sixth gear, follows the car in front. Does almost get to rev it all the way out. Hot into turn one. Still hooks it to that inside line. Gets that little bump I'm talking about on the inside just after the curbs. You've got to look out for that one.
Yeah, this isn't really an overtaking opportunity, although saying that, if Donald runs wide like that much more, then John will have to make the move. But around this section, it's quite a tight section. You've got to be brave to make a move. This part here is a single line, and again, with the S's that are coming up round here, I mean, this is a thrill ride through the S's. It's fantastic to just throw it around here, not touching the curbs. So this car, they're not touching the curbs. Oh, it's actually, we've got an incident for McClure, Richard McClure, who was up in the top 5. He's now dropped down to 7th place.
And that's in the lower S's as well. I wonder if he's clobbered one of those curbs too aggressively. Or was it traffic in front of him? Time will soon tell. That is too much curb. We've seen you can beach these cars very easily. They're very, very low. You can beach them out in the grass. You can beach them across the curb there. And when the floor of the car is touching the curb and the wheels aren't touching the ground, round and round he goes like a thrill ride.
Spin me right round like a record, baby. That's exactly what's happened there for him.
Bring back that type of hair.
And but right now, this battle for the lead, this is getting really intriguing now, as they've gone and lapped Ernie Cancio. Was that Ernie Cancio? No, it was John Arles, sorry, I do apologise. Ernie's in the pits at the moment. But yeah, this battle at the front now, we've got 2 laps remaining here. Do you get the feeling that John Morgan's maybe playing the waiting game now and waiting for that last lap down the back straight?
I think we've seen both of them sort of being patient, toying with each other a little bit all race long, knowing that fighting each other too early would cause them to lose time, potentially see them off in the weeds or getting damaged. They're happy to have this one wait for the last 3-4 laps, it seems. Fitterer grabbed the lead very handily, but has not been able to get away with it. So I would imagine John Morgan, wily competitor he is trying to set this one up maybe for out of Oak Tree on the last lap. I think that would be the best way to do it. Fitterer didn't look so strong through the Oak Tree there either. If Morgan was just a little more confident, I think he could have been right at the gearbox, but still, this could be close enough to pick up a decent draft as well, particularly when you imagine doing it 1 lap from now on the final lap.
Yeah, we've had an instant further down your field. I'm just waiting to see what happens here. Nothing. And, well, it's Yorison who's off. Bob Kern was off as well, so something's happened between those two. So Bob Kern's behind Yorison at the moment, at this point here. So we'll have a look from his on-board point of view and see what happened here.
Through to turn 1, we're watching. What is the car in front, Jorison, going to do? Double left-handers here.
No.
Rhea just steps out in the middle. Oh, unfortunate.
Yeah.
No malice from either party.
No, not at all. As soon as you saw it happen, it was a case of it was just, well, it's very little that the second-placed man in that queue could do there.
Final lap of the race, Fitterer leads, Morgan just 3/10 behind. You've got to imagine is trying to shape this one up for the exit off the Oak Tree. That's where he needs a fantastic run, use the slipstream to try to jump himself back into the lead on the final lap. The two of them have plenty of time in hand over Paul Stump in third, so they can battle each other. So long as they come off clean, they can battle each other as they like on the final lap here. Critical corner here. Fitterer's done pretty well. Morgan has a little wiggle, but is still right with him. Fitterer's going to be looking in his mirrors all the way down this straight, you have to imagine.
Yeah, look at him. He's just gaining But you can see the end of the straight there. He needs to make that move, and the defensive line being taken. Can he get it done here?
Oh, Stump with the outside line, backs out of it just a little bit there, and Fitterer looks like he's going to hold on for the lead. He's got one more corner to go. Can't throw it away at the hog pen. Car slides a little bit in the middle, but the line looks reasonable. He picks up the power, and I don't see how Morgan can get him before the checkered flag here. Race 1 of 60 Plus Racing Ventures. Donald Fitterer is going to win it just ahead of John Morgan. Great clean battle between those two. Poor Stump looks like he's going to grab the last step on the podium. And can Stefan Roschen hold on for 8th? The answer looks like just yes from Costello and Garris behind.
Oh, Wisloff. Has Wisloff finished the race, by the way? Because he's stopped out track. No, he hasn't! He's dropping down the order! Oh, Ragnar
He's parked at the hog pen.
And the
McClure loses a spot.
Lost 2! We need we need to see what's happened there, because that was odd.
Have McClure and Wisloff come together? Both of them were having problems there. Exit of the hog.
Oh, there was contact. Well, I don't think that was Wisloff, though, that he made contact with. Let's just drop it back a little bit more. Oh, Wisloff's had a big accident. No wonder he was stood still. Well, we need to go back even further. Right, let's see what's happened here. Oh, there's a car return. Oh, no.
All starts with McClure, doesn't it? Unfortunately.
No, that wasn't McClure, though.
Was it not? No, because then he tows. Wow, okay.
McClure hits that car there. What a bizarre end to the race. That really was, wasn't it?
Get all 4 in the air off the track there for McClure. He definitely found a bump and a half, that's for sure. He loses 2 spots to the line, unfortunately. Wow, it all settles out. Let's get the results, where your winner is Donald Fitterer ahead of John Morgan. Podium rounded out by Paul Stump. Gary Bystrom holds on for 4th place. Bob Cohen in 5th. Stefan Roschen grabbing 2 spots between the final corner and the line to finish 6th. Same true for David Costello. Richard McClure gets 8th, just ahead of Greg Garris, who's so close to losing another spot there. And Leroy Coppage is the top 10.
Turner then, 11th ahead of Dev Donnelly in 12th. Lewis Canal 13th ahead of Bruce Poole. Douglas Beasley, Barry's Hills 15th, 16th. Randy Shoemaker, who we saw having to get a nose change, 17th. Then lap down or more, Ragnar Wisloff, who we saw that instant at the end there. JC Hay and John Umsby round out your top 20.
And then we have Greg Gilman, Gerhardus Jorrison with some problems that we saw. Russ Addy from Ernie Cancio, Joel Martin, Robert Isle, Ian Wilson, Michael Bailey, Bob Kern, John Isles, and I'll go through the rest here now. We're into the 2-lap down cars of Bill Lawrence, Kenneth Baldwin, 3 laps down for Jerry Kerr, Mike McCormick, 5 laps down, and then it's pretty much retirements for Franz Brink, Kenneth Dummer, and Donald Poole to be 16 laps down in a 15-lap race. I think didn't take the start in race 1 there, Paul.
Yeah, he didn't take the start there, so unfortunately not doing that, but must have his reasons. But it's not to panic, because of course there are 2 races run here in 60 Plus Racing Adventures each and every evening, with the best result coming, the best result of the 2 races being the points that you score for the championship. So a little bit different to what you normally see in some forms of motorsport, but it's a good way of keeping the championship close, isn't it?
Certainly keeps a lot of people within mathematical contention. And if you have a poor race 1, it gives you a good reason to do race 2 instead of just writing off the whole round and saying, oh, race 1 didn't go great. Of course, race 2 has its own qualifying as well. We're looking to have the opportunity to speak with our top 2 now, Donald Fitterer and John Morgan. What What order should we do? I think first goes first. See if we can grab Donald Fitterer. Are you with us, race winner?
I'm here. How are you guys?
Well, better having watched that great battle back and forth in the last couple of laps between you and John Morgan. Looks like both of you were content the first 2/3 of the race to play it safe, get away from the pack, but then last couple laps, what was going through your head? Definitely looking to set up some moves.
Well, practice all week. Paul and Bill were the fastest guys, even faster than John. And I just said, okay, whoever's in front of me is probably faster. Let's just work together. No passing. Let's get through it. And then with 5 laps to go, I had a good run out of Oak Tree. And said, I got to do it now, especially with traffic coming.
And you did. Then you managed to hold onto that, but what about the last lap? How many looks and glances in your mirrors heading towards the roller coaster?
Well, JC and I had wrecked in the practice, so I wanted to avoid that in the race. So John was able to catch up, and at that point, I had a pretty good run out of Oak Tree, but I noticed that he was catching. So the only thing I did is just move left and make it difficult for him to go by.
It worked, and you grabbed the race 1 win. What are your feelings about that at sort of this midway point of the championship?
Well, I've got a chance. I'm really, I'd like to be first again, but I'm not that motivated towards it. I'd rather have the Gentleman's Award with the least amount of incidents this season.
I think, unlike some other tracks here, at VIR, if you have any incidents, you're probably having a pretty poor race here. There's not many places it looked like anyone could go off track and not have either an accident or lose a lot of time.
That's absolutely correct. And so there were times where I wasn't as pushing as hard as I could because I didn't want to take that chance.
Well, Donald, congratulations once again. You pick up the big points. You had a good race, and we're going to see you again in race 2, I hope.
Yes, sir. I'll be there. Thank you.
Thanks to you as well. We'll go to then our second place finisher, shall we, Paul? I'll let you have the honours on this one.
Thank you very much. Yes, joined by John Morgan here in the commentary booth. Second place here. We saw yourself and Donald sort of working together early on, it's fair to say. And then Donald, just with a few laps to go, deciding that was the time to pull the trigger, I suppose.
Yeah, he got a good run on me that lap, and there wasn't a whole lot I could do. I mean, he was pretty clear he was going to go by, so I let him and figured I'd just try to hook on the back and try to set it up for the last lap. And I was almost close enough, but he made the right move, try to cover the inside, and pretty much sealed the deal. But it was a great race. I mean, it was great pressure from him the entire time. I don't think I ever had more than about 0.7 on him. It was a great race.
Yeah, well, that's it. You were pretty close together, but you were able to gap out away from third place, which helped you in the long run there. But it's a very good, decent amount of points for this opening round of today. Obviously, you'll be going for a win in the second race of the evening, but you came into this round here, the halfway point of the season, only just 5 points clear of Donald in the championship standing, so it's really quite competitive between the two of you this season.
Yes, he won the championship last season, or Russ won it last season. Yeah, Donald, he's always there. He's just one of those guys that's always at the front. And we were lucky. I feel lucky that we were able to gap, like you said, third place. Because going through traffic, anything can happen if you're tightly bunched, and it almost impacted us here, but we managed to get through it pretty cleanly. So yeah, it was a good result. I practiced a lot for this week. I like this track, the fact that it's really technical. So I enjoyed the race. Can't ask for much more.
And I was going to ask about the track itself. How is this car around here? We can hear it bottoming out quite a bit on the circuit with the undulations. How is it to drive around here?
It's to me, it's pretty good. I mean, I've sort of really adapted to this car. I like the fact that it's got a little bit more grunt out of the corners because that sort of suits my style a little bit. But again, the technicality of the track, you sort of have everything in this track. Very slow corners, very complex. That complex S at the beginning, that long straight going down to Oak Tree. Getting onto that, and I seem to have a little bit of an advantage on him there, but one tiny mistake and he was able to sort of close it up and be able to get that run down the back straight. So I just I like the technicality of the track, and I like the Oak Tree. Sorry it's gone.
Yeah, we were lamenting that tree disappearing from the world of motorsport. But second race, just before we'll let you go, second race, then obviously top step of the podium is your target for that.
Yep, that's the only way I can improve. So I'll be trying to put it on pole again and see if I can't get a little bit bigger gap on whoever's behind me.
Well, John, pleasure as always to speak to you, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you after the second race as well.
Super, thanks guys.
What a great little insight from both of them. Both great racers, but I think also great sportsmen is what you take away from listening to Federer and Morgan. I mean, both of them only had good things to say about their competitors and good things to say about the racing in this league. How good?
Yeah, I mean, because we saw great racing throughout this race as well. Yeah, there were a couple of incidents, but there was no sort of malice or anything like that. It was just the odd mistake here and there, but yeah, generally the sportsmanship in this championship has always been the thing that attracts me to this series. It's always something that I really like with this series because of that camaraderie that they've got in this group of people who take part in this series, and they're doing it for the right reason. They're doing it for their enjoyment of motorsport and of sim racing, and it's great to see, and long may that continue with this series. It's fantastic.
Sure is. Race 1 has been run, won and done. Race 2 is still coming up in our future. Is that where maybe John Morgan can pull one over Donald Federer? Can someone else, like maybe Greg Bystrom, come through and really mix it up? Anything probably will happen because it's not a progressive grid or anything. We have a whole brand new qualifying session to set a whole fresh new grid for race 2.
Yeah, make sure you stick around for this one. This should be a good one. We've got about a 10-minute wait, haven't we? So we'll be just stepping aside for a few moments. Don't forget, do follow us on RaceSpotTV. We're here. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, on Twitch as well, and on Instagram. It's at RaceSpotTV, so make sure you check us out there. But yeah, we've got about a 10-minute gap. The next race session will be going up in about 5 minutes, so we've just got a little bit of a break, haven't we, David?
Yeah, and surely the number one reason to be following RaceSpot TV on all of those platforms is this weekend with the iRacing Daytona 24. If you're not excited for that one, well, I mean, you're allowed your own personal choice, but I certainly am, and I know a lot of people around the world very, very much are. And of course, we're going to have coverage from RaceSpot with that one. We're going to go to our little break here, and when we come back, it's qualifying and race 2 of 60 plus racing adventures here at VIR. Welcome back to VIR, welcome back to 60 Plus Racing Adventures. We are shaping up, getting ready for race 2 of the evening here. Donald Fitterer came out victorious in race 1. He's looking to try and defend that in race 2, but so far it looks like Paul Stump, John Morgan, Richard McClure might have some pace for him. I'm David Haynes, it's Paul Smith with me. We've got cameras from Istvan Balov and Tyler Maxon, and Paul Smith is behind the production clicking the buttons. Track temperature looks very similar to race 1, if not just a tiny bit cooler. We might actually see that rise throughout qualifying and the race. 5.2 kilometers of the Grand Prix full course of VIR.
Yeah, it's a fun track, isn't it? It produces some good racing. We saw some good racing in that first race as well. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the drivers go around and get themselves at some good battles. And that battle for the lead was it wasn't intense, but it was constant pressure, wasn't it?
Was there ever a second to separate the top two in the race? I just don't feel like there was. It ebbed and flowed a little bit, where how strong the pressure was, how long the gap was, but they both had to be absolutely clinical and precise, racing each other hard. Again, just the one spectator at the bottom of the roller coaster, but now it's a lady and she's standing a little bit further back from the fence, so safety in mind. I also feel like that the paddock area here is a little bit flatter than it's looking here, but that is just a minor point. There is the most important hauler. Let's look at the schedule once again. We started at Long Beach. We're here in Virginia at round 6. The season continues with Sebring, Silverstone, Imola, the Nordschleife and Spa before we get to the championship conclusion at Road Atlanta, which will have another race spot broadcast. And so for our sake, as well as yours, as well as the competitors, I hope it stays very close in the championship so that we can crown a champion then at Road Atlanta. Speaking about the championship, maybe? No, we showed that before the start of race 1, and of course it's changed since then. But it's time for qualifying now, Paul.
Yes, certainly is. So 10 minutes to set ourselves our grid for the race. Great view of the track there, and we shall get up and underway. And let's have a look then at a driver who actually set the pole position time in race number 1, which was John Morgan. For some reason his car has changed colour on my end. I don't know why that is, but that shouldn't have happened. But anyway, all I can tell you is that John is out there and is looking to just get some temperature into his tyres, get everything all set for the push then onto the start of this race.
Yep. Private qualifying session. Each driver gets 2 timed laps, 2 flying laps. There's of course the out lap at the moment for 177 John Morgan. And the fact that this is a little bit a longer lap than some others probably means when they start the first flying lap, the tyres will be pretty close, but we still always look to lap 2 as being the fastest one in qualifying, where the tyres are best primed and the drivers are ready to play it a little riskier, go a little harder.
Yeah, absolutely. There was an idea behind that, but it didn't work, unfortunately. Let's hope it works. I'm going to try it again. We're on board with John Morgan then, and we'll see how he does then across the line to start his opening lap here. That's what I wanted to do. A little number at the side there. So it's turn number 1 then. Keeping it nice and tight. Watch your application of the throttle. Second gear. And then through the left-hander onto the brakes. Turn in. Keep it on the track. We almost ended up on the grass there. This is quite a tight fiddly section here, and it's always a good place where you can gain a lot of time on others. If you can hook that up right, you can gain a lot more time than you lose through there. Again, the S's, we've seen them all evening avoiding the curbs here. If you're in a GT car or a touring car, for example, you launch yourself over those curbs. In something like this, this Indy Pro 2000 doesn't quite handle the curbs as well. Onto the brakes, through Oak Tree, get the run out of Oak Tree, and now down this back straight, all the way up to VMAX for John. We'll be hopefully getting to see his lap time and everybody else's lap times coming in very shortly indeed.
In second gear through the Oak Tree, I'd seen some in first gear, but then he gets all the way up into sixth on the way to the roller coaster here. Bit blind as you turn in, hug that curb on the inside. He does well. Hold it in third now. You want to open up the entry for the hog pen. Grip in the middle here and then power all the way to the line. Time will come up shortly. He's taking the absolute shortest path to the start-finish line here. And 42.5 is definitely going to put him ahead of Greg Garris. Going to put him ahead of Mike McCormick and Stefan Rostian as the first times all come in there. But it's one more lap to go still for John Morgan and for others to try to find a lot more speed. Look at Kerr, Hay and Isles there. Maybe using the first flying lap as a warm-up lap because they are a little adrift of the pace, but they still have another lap and they might not have used the best on the first lap.
Yeah, Donald Fitzroy is one of those drivers who hasn't set a lap time yet. Apologies about the paints, by the way. I don't know what has happened here, but for some reason my paints aren't working at the moment, so apologies about that, everybody. But yeah, Fitzroy into the Oak Tree. What can he do here? He hasn't set a lap time yet. I think this is just his first flying lap from what I can see.
Yeah, they've got 10 minutes in the session as well, so there's actually no rush, even at a big track like this, to get out of pit lane in a hurry at the start of the session. But from what I see, Federer actually went off track on his first lap, so this is going to be his... No, this is going to be his first flying lap for Federer. Correct myself on that one.
Yeah, there we go. We get things right there in the end as we come across the line then. So what can Donald do here then? It's 42.552, only just behind John Morgan. Rest of your qualifying times are coming through now, so people are finishing their laps. Here's Bill Lawrence. He's coming towards the end of his lap. This will be his second flying lap. Does he improve? The answer is yes, he does. 42.719.
Improvements very rapidly coming through. Richard McClure. Gosh, he didn't have the end to race one he would have liked. So what will qualifying do for him? 7th at the moment, but he's definitely driving like he thinks this lap could be an improvement for him. So he comes to the timing line.
That's gonna
yeah, the answer is a decent little improvement into 4th. The driver's still with another lap to complete. Coppage, Bob Kern, and really looks like Donald Federer wasn't able to improve on his second lap.
Yeah, so not the best second lap then. I don't even think he finished his second lap. I think he abandoned it. Much like I'm abandoning trading paints right now, but that's another story. So yeah, these drivers working their way through. So, Bob Kern, as you mentioned, the last one really that's on a lap. I don't know, is Ernie Cancio on a lap there in the 420?
I think so.
So we'll see how they get on there. Sorry, I used that as a point to take a drink, and you just anyway. Yeah, Bob Kern through the final few corners. We've seen people struggling with that last corner all evening. It wasn't the best run out of there, but we'll see whether it's an improvement. 45.169 he needs to beat. And he does that. 44.379.
Handily, but
Was that his third lap?
I haven't seen him jump up the order from that one.
No.
So either he'd already done his 2 timed laps, or there was an off track earlier in the lap that we didn't catch. But gosh, it'd have to be a tiny little off track if he was still going to improve on the lap in spite of it. We kind of mentioned that in the interviews after race 1. There's not a whole lot of, paved runoff or anything anywhere where you can run wide or cut a corner and not, lose a handful of time. They're kind of self-enforcing in that way.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of old school tracks, isn't it? Where if you go off a curb, you're met with one thing and one thing only, which is grass, and that grass is like lava here in iRacing, and that means you want to avoid it as much as possible, and head on. Keep on the grey stuff is the key thing in here. But yeah, hopefully these drivers will be able to get themselves prepared. Just get themselves in the right frame of mind as they get into the final minute of prep before the start of this race.
Where is that iRacing hauler in the paddock? Is it behind the timing tower?
I have no idea. I'll be honest with you.
Fair enough.
I haven't a clue.
Not the foggiest. Well, they give them a generous 10 minutes, and most drivers don't use it. Bob Kern, though, says that's free time for practice, so he's still out there, and he's literally the only driver out there. But in about 30 seconds' time, as is it Pulp? Anyway, yeah, we're gonna be looking at the grid and the drivers beginning to form up for race 2. It's pretty well set in stone what order they're going to be lining up, though. You can see for the top half of the grid that on the timing tower. It's Pulp who wrote the song Common People, right?
Yes, it is Pulp who wrote Common People. Yes, absolutely. Jarvis Cocker, absolutely.
I knew that you'd know. You're the right age. Just like all of our drivers are the right age in 60-plus racing adventures. And this is how they're going to line up on the grid. Let's get the full grid up on screen. The front row. Well, could we write it any better? It's John Morgan and Donald Fitterer. John Morgan, the pole sitter, once again. Behind them is Greg Garris and Richard McClure. And then behind that, Paul Stump and Bill Lawrence, Bob Cohen and Mike McCormick. And the top 10 is rounded out by Kenneth Baldwin and Leroy Coppage, as once again you can see them all start to appear behind the pace car.
Yeah, Stefan Rosjan once again 11th place ahead of Russadi, so Russadi will be hoping for a better race this time than last time after getting caught out on lap 1. Barry Hills and Greg Gilman 13th and 14th places. Randy Shoemaker again down in the 15th spot ahead of Ragnar Wisloff. Then Dev Donnelly and Kenneth Durma in 17th and 18th place. Row number 10 is Gerhardus Jurison, who we saw having a fun battle until got caught out by that mistake, and then Ernie Cancio rounds out his top 20.
Let's look at the rest of the field, because we have dropped 1 or 2 drivers since the first race, down to just a 33 car looking grid for this one. It's going to be John Unsby in 21st from Bruce Poole, and then Louis Cannell, Bob Kern, Jack Turner, Joel Martin, Michael Bailey, Douglas Beasley, Ian Wilson, Jerry Kerr, and then the remainder of the field is JC Hay, John Arles, and Robert Isle for 33 beautiful Indy Pro 2000 single-seater race cars now, getting up to pacing speed. You able to turn any of these cameras to look if that's where the truck is?
No. So Hugo would, but I didn't.
I prefer when Hugo has custody and we spend the weekend at his house.
I don't deal with the travel across to Brazil very well, actually. Let's be honest.
What about a blimp shot?
Yeah, we can give you that and see if we can see much. Well, we can't see much of the paddock at the moment because we should see that coming. It should hove into view here. You won't see it, not from that shot. Or will you? Let's see.
For shame. That skid pad at the bottom there, that's not normally used for parking. They do like police driver training and stuff on that one. I'm not sure you're allowed to park RVs around that section, but you do see a lot of people there to have a look. Parking is all sold out below that hotel on the outside of the S's, where I've never stayed. Apparently that one's nicer, but it's not as close to the paddock because you have to go over this bridge to get to the paddock.
Yeah, as they head on in towards the S's once again, getting a nice overhead shot, should I say. It's easy for me to say, as they go into the S's then. So, as I mentioned in qualifying, the S's here, with these single-seaters, the Indy Pro 2000s, it can't seem to handle those curbs like a GT car or a touring car would. I'm used to.
I don't think they need to.
Well, I'm used to absolutely flying over those curbs. I'll be honest with you, because I'm, as I said in the first race, I'm a front-wheel drive guy, so I'm used to just using and abusing curbs at circuits.
I mean, I think they've got enough grip, and they're not 600 horsepower cars. They're sort of 250 horsepower cars. I think there's no need for them to jump across the curbs. The fastest line is the smoothest line, which is stay just inside of those curbs up the hill.
So yeah, this is a great view overhead. You can see where they put a chicane in down that back straight. I don't know why you'd do that, to be honest. It kind of ruins the flow of the circuit. There's the.
I've never known anyone to use it.
There's the turn off to the right there. Now, is that the Grand East circuit that uses that one, or is it the West? I can never remember.
I think that'd be Grand West, but it also gets used in VIR North. That
Yes.
shortened layout. Now there is where people are allowed to park their RVs, looking at the roller coaster there. Some of those are at a very, very interesting angle. But we are about to get racing for Race 2, 60 Plus Racing Adventures, Week 6 VIR. Again, we know the pace car waits a very, very long time before it then makes a very sharp turn in. And a front row, very, very similar to Race 1. It's John Morgan on pole, Donald Fitterer on the outside, and John Morgan gets some racing. Green flag in the air. Good jump from Morgan, good jump from Fitterer. It's all about what's going on 3 wide, but almost 4 wide behind that. As we look for a clean start into turn 1. First and second doing well. It's about 4th there, where McClure is around the outside of Paul's stump, and they become single file by the exit, but now there's contact. Cop edge, others.
So this was a big one. Cars getting jumped up. I think Kenneth Baldwin was one of those. You can see. Oh, don't say that car's stuck on the outside there. Oh, it's Yorison as well after that good first race of his. The second race, however, has not been so kind to him. So we'll get a look back at this then from overhead and see what was going on there.
What's going on is 3 wide, and then
It's lost control.
Cold tyres, aggressive around the outside, opens up the throttle a bit too much, and I think that's what kicks it all off, unfortunately. Free front wing in the grass there if you want to pick one up, but that does look like coming from the grass back onto the pavement. Jorison has gotten beached. That's a weird thing you've got to look out for, apparently, in turn 1.
Certainly is. Look at this. The front two have pulled away, but Richard McClure and Greg Garris battling it out then for 3rd place overall as we head on down the roller coaster once again. And then through the right-hander, and Stefan Rosjan is off there. This is just throwing me with not being able to see the paint here, so apologies everybody. me, but unfortunately something out of my control. But Ross Jen back up and running there, all the way down the order in 19th place overall.
Not a great opening lap, but it's been a good opening lap for Russ Addy and Barry Hills, who've each picked up 6 positions into 6th and 7th. It's not been bad for Richard McClure either. He's gone from 4th up into 3rd quite convincingly, and it looks like Garris is just putting a lot of steering angle in, really washing out the fronts, at least while they're cold and not gripping as he'd like.
Yeah, he's losing a lot of time here. He's pulling back off of Richard McClure, so McClure doing a good job of just getting away in these early stages, hoping for a better race this time out as Richard.
He's one of those ones that even without his paint you can still kind of recognise, because it is still electric, lightning, dayglow, nuclear yellow, but problems there for John Morgan. He's around and there's damage on that car. That from the lead of the race. Maybe there's not that much damage. He's going again. We'll take a look at that car, but he has had a problem at the oak tree. I want to guess he's grabbed some grass on the outside between the two apexes, because that is so easily done there. He was leading. This is an unforced error we're about to see. That's what it is.
Did he keep out the wall? Yes, he did. Well done, John.
Save that man 15% off his car insurance with a safe driver bonus.
Yeah, absolutely.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
Unfortunately, we're not at the Wild West circuit where you've got the, say, 15% in 15 minutes. But anyway, moving on, other insurance brands are available. We've still got this battle for second place ongoing, although Bill Lawrence is coming into this one as well for third. Greg Gilman and Bob Cohen are swapping places, although Bob, we've got a car going off. That's Kevin Duma just going off into the grass there. Bob Cohen, he was the driver who was jumped up into the air by that contact with Leroy Coppage's car.
I mean, that's open wheeler cars, isn't it? Sometimes they touch wheels.
Oh no! Oh no! Is that recovering Yorison? Oh dear, that's caused a big kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle is the word, and I think Jorison's taking responsibility for that one. He was already a lap down on those guys, I think. We're going to take a look. Ragnar Wisloff here is going to have very interesting view. Off the track goes Jorison, and then turns back the other way, and that is not great for Wisloff, who then gets collected again.
It's where do you go in that situation? Where do you go and get out the way? It is... unfortunate just with the way that Yorison came back onto the track there in the middle of the corner, and that's just caused big problems. Almost big problems for Richard McClure there, getting the wheel out in the grass, and that's going to allow Garris past.
Yep, and then it's Bill Lawrence just waiting patiently here as well. These guys have been elevated one position, because you can see John Morgan in the background. This is second, third, and fourth in this battle here. McClure did give up that spot back to Garris, and then here is Bill Lawrence. He was very patient in race 1, was he not? I imagine we might see the same here again.
Well, he'll be wanting a better result than race 1, because remember he did go on. We've lost Donald Fitzroy.
No way.
We've lost Donald Fitzroy. He's dropping down our order here. I have a funny feeling that we've lost Donald Fitzroy's connection here. Yeah, we've lost Donald Fitzroy. He is going to drop from the server here. Oh, heartbreak! Well, we're going to get a new race winner here, David, in this second race.
Certainly looks like it. Timing updates that Garris leads, McClure in second, and only just in second. Lawrence in third. Problems and, I guess, heartbreak for John Morgan and for Donald Fitterer. means all of a sudden these guys are racing for all they can get. Garris, I think, would really like to see McClure and Lawrence fight each other at this point. That'd help him with about 10 laps to go.
Number of cars on pit road here, so not good for any of those. Bill Lawrence looking but not making any moves. We've got a small gaggle of cars, and Ernie Cancio is the one at the head of it. And then you've got Bob Kern, you've got Stefan Rostrand, you've got Jack Turner, you've got Kenneth Duma as well. Bob Cohen's there as well. So the number of cars is Rostrand down the inside into turn 1.
Yep, picks off Bob Kern, and that gets Rostrand back into the 11th place where he qualified and puts Bob Kern back into 12th. Bob Kern qualified in 24th though. So there's a few drivers that have made good on a bit of a topsy-turvy race 2 so far. Big movers have been Ernie Cancio, Bob Kern, Jack Turner, Michael Bailey, for example, and Randy Shoemaker's also on a charge, and he's picked up 8 spots since the start of the race. So, cats away. The race drivers are going to play and pick up some big positions and hopefully improve on their race 1 results, because your finish from race 2 is as important as your finish from race 1.
It certainly is, as these carry on fighting. Speaking of fighting, at the front, Leclerc. Now these two need to just, well, these three need to just carry on working together, because John Morgan, of course the man who was in the lead of this race right in the early going until he spun at the oak tree, he's catching up to these 3 drivers here. So they need to be careful. Yeah,
McClure, Garris, Lawrence fighting a little bit. John Morgan will catch them faster than you can say Cheerwine Float. McClure is looking defensive again. Garris, was actually kind of close to giving him a tap there. Definitely got in hot on the brakes. Morgan sets a personal best lap time behind them. Didn't catch him a whole lot on this lap just gone, but I think he's probably a little more cautious now than he was in the first lap or 2.
Yeah, oh no, Cancio and Dev Donnelly off at the hog pen.
Not far from here to get to the pit entry though, which is what I think Cancio is going to need, unfortunately.
He was already off. He was already off at the roller coaster, and he's trying to get back up to speed. And Donnelly, goes off into the grass, loses control, and that's game over for those two.
Yep, it is onto pit lane. They both have to go. This for the lead, your top 3, McClure, Garris, Lawrence, John Morgan catching them a little bit. We'll see what happens at the end of the straight in towards the roller coaster. That's where Garris has been taking a look. That's where McClure has been going middle of the road defensive. You can see how aggressively Garris rolls out of the throttle there. So he's decided to just wait for the moment. John Morgan, as you can see now, underneath 3 seconds from the lead. What he wants to be is underneath 1.5 seconds from Bill Lawrence.
Yeah, look at those last 2 laps. 0.4 and 0.5 of a second faster than Bill Lawrence. So it's a matter of time. There's plenty of time remaining, because we're only just about to reach the halfway point of the race. So there's battle for the lead still ongoing, and McClure going very defensive. And the problem with him going defensive here, David, is that he's going to be using up his tyres. He's going to be really aggressive on his tyres, and towards the end of the race that will show.
Yeah, but will. Track temperature, which was 25 at the start of qualifying, was about 29-30 at the start of the race, is now up to about 32. So it continues to climb just a little bit. And there you can see visually how close John Morgan had gotten. And for Garris, that's not really a place you can overtake there.
Crucially for John Morgan is about 1.3, 1.2 seconds off of the back of Bill Lawrence. So getting ever closer means that he should be starting to pick up a slipstream. That seems to be a good exit there for McClure out of Oak Tree. That's going to allow Bill Lawrence now to put the pressure on Greg Garris.
Exactly, it will. Here's the helicopter. looking at... It's kind of a false angle as well, because as they get further down the straight, the angle sort of compresses the field, even though they're actually getting closer as well. But Morgan, who I called out, was within 3 seconds of the lead a lap ago, now 2.15, about 2, is definitely catching and closing on this top 3 of McClure, Garris, Lawrence. Across the line they all go, and I think by the end of this lap, you've got to imagine Morgan's going to be right with them, battling for the lead. McClure is still defending. Garris had a bit of a look, and that is one of the places they do start to lose a little bit of that time.
You can see that gap is getting closer and closer for John, and Bill Lawrence will be starting to look behind him soon here. We know that John's got the pace here. He's just got to keep it on the grey stuff. That's what he's got to do here. But now look at him, he's right up with the lead trio. It's now a four-man gang for the lead as they head into the S's once again.
Exactly, it is beautiful on board. You can rent one of those villas to the left. Other villas are available, but they just really all checked up a bit here. That was almost an aggressive dive from John Morgan. He realised that down the inside there, not the cleverest, when he should just wait and really get a good exit off the oak tree, which he did. Good to the apex. Now side by side for the lead. Third and fourth watching on. Garris, nose in front to the lead. Bill Lawrence also with a huge slipstream on him. Is there a slowdown?
No, I think I think McClure just got onto the dirt on the outside of Oak Tree and has decided, rather than trying to fight it out, just go to the back of the peloton and get yourself back into get everything sort of in coordination again, and then fight to live another day and attack later on in this race. As we said earlier, still plenty of time remaining in this one, so don't write out McClure out this one. Don't write out any of these drivers, let's be honest. 7 to go though.
I don't want to hear about cycling. I punctured a tyre yesterday. Ruined my day.
I didn't actually know about that, everybody, so sorry about that, David. Sorry to bring up your bad day there. I don't cycle myself, so I'm alright. I don't have to worry about punctures.
Bet your weather this time of the year is not particularly conducive to it either. But what is whether that's conducive to a good race is right now, where it's warmed up again to about 32 Celsius. Got that top 4 battle we've been keeping our eyes on, but we can't watch that to the detriment of all of the other little scraps going on, like this one. Michael Bailey, Jack Turner. There's also Barry Hills and Randy Shoemake and Mike McCormick versus Bruce Poole. They've got different lines here with Bailey and Turner on their way into these lower S's. Just saw from the steering from Jack Turner there, the rear starting to slide around just a little bit. There is some slip angle in these cars once we get past the second half of the race.
Don't forget as well, it's a fixed setup series is this, so we're seeing tyres put the Oak Tree ahead of these guys, but obviously nothing too serious. But yeah, it's a fixed setup series is this, so they're all got the same car effectively, and they're all fighting it out with the same car. As across the line, the lead battle's still ongoing. They've actually dropped Richard McClure a little bit here.
Yeah, they sure have, as John Morgan just goes and sets the fastest lap of the race. Mike McCormick is on the pit lane, it looks like, and that is going to be no good. Was he the one at the Oak Tree? No, Smoke was already there.
Oh, he's run wide. Oh, and then he spun it. Don't say he got stuck now. Oh, no! That's so many drivers we've seen today that have got stuck on the edge of the track. Here's a piece of advice, everybody. Don't go off the track here.
No, he's beached Esbrew. He is completely beached there, and it's not just turn 1. Turn 1's been the main culprit, but I think anywhere that the soil subsidence creates a sharp approach angle, I think it is. Is it a departure angle? Breakover angle? I'm not an off-roader, but whatever it is, these cars are not equipped for that purpose.
Something that they are equipped for is slipstreaming, and John Morgan, back of the duo in front of him, trying to put the pressure on. They really have dropped Richard McClure, by the way. I did wonder whether he was overworking his tyres, because he's now 2.8 seconds behind John. So obviously not having a fun time of it in the second half of this race.
When we saw him drop back out of the lead, do you think McClure could have picked up some damage to the front wing, to the under tray or anything?
Under tray, possibly. That would have a big effect to top speed.
If you Tony Hawked the curb on the exit of the oak tree for its full length, I'd be surprised if all the little bits of the under tray came off that completely cleanly. They're going to have a bit of traffic here for the leader. Garris, Lawrence and Morgan. And this isn't the greatest place ever through the S's. Probably going to hope to get clear before the climbing S's, but if that doesn't happen, it's really going to compress up our top three.
Yeah, Joel Martin is the one ahead of this, and he's not getting out of the way. I'm sure Greg Garris is there going, please, please, just move over. Oh, that's not the place to try and get past there, Greg, because here now comes Bill Lawrence, who's now getting stuck behind. Oh my goodness, Joel Martin is being a bit of a thorn here to the leaders.
Day late and $1 short on getting out of the way there, I think is the best I can say. That's let Garris get a 1.5 seconds, and that has really, really hurt Bill Lawrence, who is probably not super pleased about that one. He had the great opportunity between the lower S's and the climbing S's. Could have just let all three of them together in a second, but it did not transpire. John Morgan is up into second place, and with about 4 laps to go, is he going to be able to hunt Garris?
Well, now, this is something that we've seen time again in the series and also in any open wheel series. If somebody gets a gap at the front of the field, generally they pull away. They just start pulling away. If they break that slipstream, they generally just get away at the front and can basically say see you later and just wave goodbye to a win. So John Morgan, couldn't speak today. He really needs to get now is the bit between his teeth and really put the pressure on, really pull some laps out like he's not done all evening, just to try and get back to the slipstream of Greg Garris.
I mean, we saw Morgan able to catch before. I would not doubt his speed. He's within 1.2 seconds of Garris now. I reckon probably within a second by the exit of Oak Tree, looking at those clean lines up the hill. Stefan Roestgen is facing the wrong way. Stefan, what has happened? This has not been his race, not been his week.
Careful of the edge of the track there. There we go. He's fine. He's negotiated that well. Let's have a look. Let's see what's happened here. So into turn number 1. He's going to do this all on his own, isn't he? Oh, carrying way too much speed there. Getting it out wide, onto the grass. Round she goes.
Yep, exactly. Not great for Roestgen at all there. But again, sensible enough on the rejoin, etc. John Morgan is within a second of Greg Garris. Someone off the track going to rejoin. Is that Unsby?
Yeah, I think it might be Unsby.
Yeah, it would be John Unsby.
Way, but I had a sharp intake of breath. I'd imagine John Morgan would have had so as well. But look at the lead now, the lead battle.
Yep, as it becomes overcast, down into turn 1 storms John Morgan, and he's going to grab the lead and then get good drive off the corner as well to cement it. So, John Morgan back to the race lead. It's the wider entry into NASCAR and then left hook here. Greg Garris taking a tighter line that I'm not quite sure worked out for him. And he's got a gooder run onto the lower S's.
Oh, look at Morgan's pace. Says, oh, we've got other problems now. Andy Shoemake, well, he's not in first place. He's taken a tour. Something's happened to Randy here. He was battling for position, I think this was for about 7th place. 66, yeah, Barry Hills. Oh, is he run wide? Is there contact? There's contact.
Oh, and then he gets carried off the track as well, and he's going to get no drive off that back right tyre. They sort of come together on the exit here. I mean, it's a good run from Shoemake around the outside, and he picks up the drive well, but he's not all the way to the left-hand side of the track, and the other guy's not all the way to the inside of the track. They both sort of meet in the middle there, don't they? You need another angle, potentially, or the other on board, but yeah, meet in the middle on the exit.
Yeah, that's the problem with that first corner, is the two lines that just sort of merge onto each other there, and that's what cost them. Greg Gilman, Barry Hills. So Greg Gilman's actually made it past Barry Hills. So Hills must have damage then to the front of his car after that contact with Shoemake, and that must be slowing him down there. So Greg Gilman up into 7th place now.
If you had a clean race, you'd definitely get a lot of positions, wouldn't you? That's been proven by a few drivers here. So now we grab the onboard with Kenneth Duma, looking for a top 10 to grab a spot away from Bob Cohen. And there's your big movers as well. Kern, a huge mover up 15 spots there. We've got Bob Kern and Bob Cohen together on track as well.
Yeah, this really doesn't help us, does it? On the commentary, get the Bobs mixed up. But yeah, the lead battle, by the way, is fizzled out really, because Morgan is way at the front now. I didn't know.
Yeah, John Morgan's too good, too quick.
I didn't know whether he would have the ability to be able to just pull away like that, but he has done in spades. Barry Hills, by the way, who's in front of these two now, in 7th place, he is, well, actually in front of these three, should I say, he's been lapping about, that last lap was 3 seconds slower. Now, I know he had that contact with Randy Shoemake, but he will be affected. Oh, speaking of being affected, well, I think Kenneth Duma just followed Bob Kern off the track there.
Oh, he did. Now he's got to make sure he builds up some speed as he tries to rejoin the pavement. Oh, can he even get up the hill? No drive at all in the grass. Tail out. Is he going to loop it again? Is he going to get it on track? Oh, he is, but what an adventure. And there's been dramas at the roller coaster as well. It's the two Bobs.
Get a quick look at this, and then we'll go back to your race leader. Here's Bob Cohen, and Bob Kern is, just number 6 of Kern, just carrying a little bit too much speed into the back of Cohen.
And so the leader on the last lap, John Morgan, still got half a lap to go, but he has a handy little lead that he has built himself and continues to build for himself. And then they're a little spread out till you get to 9th and 10th, where Michael Bailey just took a spot away from Jack Turner, but take nothing away from John Morgan, because he had that early spin, kept it out of the wall at the oak tree, and then did not give up whatsoever.
And that's it. It shows you never give up in any race. I mean, you just have to look back to Jenson Button in 2010. Never give up. He was in last place and won it. And Stefan Rosjones just had an incident. So
am I crazy, or was that 2011?
That was 2010. 2011, yeah, sorry. But anyway, over to you for the finish.
Yep, exactly. And over to John Morgan to take it to the checkered flag and grab race 2, take maximum points away from this round by locking in a race win. And he's going to be joined on the podium there by Greg Garris and Bill Lawrence. Well, solid drive from Morgan. Now this one looks like Jack Turner wants back at Michael Bailey. He's going to pull towards the inside initially and then the outside for the roller coaster, but he parks his nose in front in the 55. And Jack Turner, I think we normally see in a bit of a Maya Shank Auto Nation livery. He gets 10th place on the final lap there, so long as he can hold on to it to the line.
Well, should actually be ninth place with Rostrin having to take that tour
True,
on the last
true.
lap. So yeah, good positions for these two across the line.
Indeed, it is worth fighting for. Oh, as long as it's after the checkered flag, it's not so bad to see something like that come together. Louis Canel, is he the last car on the lead lap? He sure almost looks like it. It's just a couple behind him, Isles and JC Hay, I think. Louis Canel, that is going to be 17th for him because he also picks up a position from Stefan Rostrin, as Isles and JC Hay are going to do as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit more of a chaotic race, wasn't it? It was a bit more incidents involved in that one, should we say. And you pointed it out. John Morgan, great display from him to be able to lose the lead early on in the race at the oak tree and to come back, fight back, and end up taking a win. That shows the pace that he had around here. But that's your last car on the lead lap across the line.
Last race of the evening. Let's look at the results. Your winner, John Morgan, a storming drive to the lead. Greg Garris in second. Bill Lawrence rounding out the podium. I don't think those guys can be too disappointed with that because they did pick off some positions from McClure, from Fitterer, and probably weren't expecting to stand on the podium today. So when they judge it against their expectations going in, they should probably be well pleased with that. But it is McClure in fourth, Russ Addy in fifth, Greg Gilman for sixth, Barry Hills in seventh, Bob Kern in eighth, and we saw the battle on the last lap between Jack Turner and Michael Bailey, where Jack Turner came out victorious.
Yeah, Bob Cohen then caught up in an instant down into 11th place then with Bruce Poole. Douglas Beasley in 13th, good result for him. Leroy Coppage, I think, will be a little bit disappointed with 14th. Kenneth Dummer, 15th, ahead of Ian Wilson. Louis Canal, John Isles, JC Hay was the last car on the lead lap. Stefan Rostrin having to take a tour on the final lap. That costs him, moves him all the way down to 20th place.
Rest of the field is John Unsby, Randy Shoemake, Joel Martin, Robert Isle lost to the cars a lap down before we get into what can probably only be called retirements for Mike McCormick, Ragnar Wisloff, Paul Stump, Gerhardus Jorison, Ernie Cancio, Dev Donnelly, and then of course Donald Fitterer unfortunately disconnecting from the lead of the race. What could have gone back to back potentially, and then Jerry Kerr 32nd, Kenneth Baldwin 33rd, retiring on the first lap.
Yeah, so a good size field again, as always in the series, and good racing. I really enjoyed that. It was a good evening and thoroughly enjoyable. And now we get to have a chat with a couple of people.
And I reckon we go third place man Bill Lawrence, and we'll bring Bill in now. Were you expecting to stand on the podium when you went into this race, Bill?
I could say very clearly no.
So then, with that in mind, you must be pretty delighted to get third, and a great little bit of back and forth, great bit of racing between yourself, Greg Garris, and Richard McClure.
Yeah, it was hard to, I had to stay with them, but I knew they were, at least I thought they were really focused on each other. They had a little back and forth, so I didn't want to get in that tangle if there was one.
And what of John Morgan spinning early, but then really charging back and almost, making hot knife through butter on cutting through you guys?
Yeah, well, we were just talking about that, actually. We did run into traffic, but no, all through practice this week, we watch each other. John was putting down the fastest time, so I knew once he was on me, it was game over as far as holding a position on him.
And we did see a little bit of traffic there towards the end for you guys. What did you think there? Really boxed you backwards at Oak Tree, didn't it?
Yeah, that one was difficult to know. I think it was Joel. I'll talk to him later what was happening. He was so slow, I wasn't sure where he was going to go. I know he was trying to do the right thing and let us by. And then at the end, John Unsby, normally John's pretty good, but man, that was tricky there.
We've seen time and time again, you get off the track here, there is zero grip on the grass. So when you see someone off track like that, I guess it's eyes on stalks.
Yeah, exactly. I had in race one, I made a couple of real bad blunders there myself, but I had a couple of guys come and do the same thing off track.
Well, I say congratulations to you on third place. Means you take some decent points away from this round. I know you are always thinking not just about yourself, but about the team championships as well and stuff like that. How's Team Morgan doing?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm going to give a shout out to our partner, Mark Robertson. Mark's got some issues going on with his back and sciatic nerve, and he couldn't sit in today. But Ken and I are on the same team as well, and Bob. So we're hoping to improve gradually. I think we're making some way.
Well, a decent points haul in third's not going to hurt there either. We'll see you again, hopefully, for the season finale in a couple of weeks at Road Atlanta.
That would be great. And thanks to you guys, David, Paul, for doing this. Greatly appreciated.
Third place finisher, Bill Lawrence, and John Morgan was our winner in race 2. We spoke with him after race 1, but with another win under his belt, I think it's only fair Paul Smith talks to him after race 2.
Well, there we go. I mean, John, we're going to just approach the elephant in the room straight away. That was a little bit of a mistake into Oak Tree, wasn't it, in the start of the race?
Yeah, that was, I saw I had a little bit of a gap on Donald, and I just pushed a little too hard going in there. Luckily spun, and luckily there was a gap for me to get back on track where I did, or I don't know, that so I had luck today, and both of the passing Bill and passing Greg, there was traffic involved, so everything just fell my way, which is kind of nice.
Well, that's it. We meant, we saw that you were down to what, fifth or sixth after that spin, and it was just that determination to come back. It shows that you should never say die here in not just in this series but throughout all of motorsport. That you should just keep on going because you never know what will happen.
Yeah, that pretty much characterizes my entire racing career. I don't quit. And I can crash and be 2 laps down, and I'll go back out and I'll run the laps, and I've learned that you don't, because you never know what's going to happen in front of you. And today, the cards just fell in my favor. So you're right. Staying with it's important.
Well, of course, you winning this race means that you basically equalised the points with Donald, who unfortunately had a connection problem, and we lost him early on in this race. But do you see it being, as we go into this second half of the season now, do you see that being the big battle between you two, or are there others that you've also got to keep an eye out for as well?
Yeah, I think so. Bill Lawrence, and Greg has been getting faster and more consistent. There's a lot of guys. It's just from week to week. Russ Addy. I've had battles with Russ. Russ won the first 2 races at Long Beach, which is no picnic, and guys broadcast that one. So It is just, I guess how much time you have to put into the practice, and it is week to week. So you got to take them when you can get them.
Absolutely, but before we let you go then and enjoy the victory here, anyone you just want to give a quick mention to whilst you're here?
As always, the guys who put this on, Joel for being our admin, and Richard for doing our, keeping our stats and our weekly post, Mark Gleason who manages everything, and it's just a great group, and we all work together over the weekend to put a set together for everybody, and just a great group, and I like the job that you guys do. You guys do the best job, and thanks.
Well, thank you very much, John, and enjoy your evening, and have a good day.
Thank you, Paul.
There we have it then. Donald Fitterer wins race 1, John Morgan wins race 2, and our two title rivals, who are just 5 points apart, going to go into the next round just 5 points apart. And if they keep that up, Paul, we are going to have very much a showdown for the championship.
Yeah, that would be a tremendous end to the championship if we do get them two together all the way through to the end of the season. And really, it's interesting. I mean, the only thing that really would be potentially as an extra point would be any bonus points for completing the races incident free. So really, you've got to look at that for potential bonus points for John or for Donald. So there are little bits of extra points that you can get here and there, but not much. But still, really close championship. Always a great series to show here, and great respectful racing as always.
Yeah, that's true. We very often see a lot of very sportsman-like racing, a lot of very considered moves, passes, nothing too reckless normally. Of course, everyone greatly enjoys it as well. That is all from VIR. We're going to see you again March 3rd at Road Atlanta. Final thanks from us here at RaceSpot, of course, go to Istvan Barloff and Tyler Maxson for, I think that's track and car cams respectively. I've been David Haynes, it's been Paul Smith alongside me and pressing all the buttons for production. Big weekend coming up for RaceSpot with the iRacing Daytona 24, so make sure you subscribe, make sure you check us out on all of the various platforms and social media where you can see our broadcasts and keep up to date with everything that's going on with all of the things in the sim racing world for RaceSpotTV. But from VIR, thank you for watching. This has been 60 Plus Racing Adventures on RaceSpot, and good night.